I'm Arnade, a photographer and writer, and I spent the last 2 years driving across the United States, talking to voters, a lot of them Trump voters. There are people who feel very much like the country has left them behind. Economically and socially, they feel very much like the sense of humiliation, the sense of feeling very much like the world has humiliated them. And with Trump, they see somebody who they think is helping to them to restore their pride. Laurie is in a small town, I believe it's called Clarington, Ohio. She said she was frustrated and there was nothing going on in the town. There was nothing for her kids to do. She had 5 children, 2 of them who had fallen into drug use, like a lot of the places I went to. And she felt very much like the world had left her behind. She had voted for Obama the first time, and she bought into the idea of hope and change, and she didn't see hope or change coming. And so she was going to vote for Trump, and she was very explicit about that. The gentleman in the picture is in a McDonald's in Danville, Virginia. It's a town that lost its textile mills 25 years ago, and since then hasn't recovered. And he is I believe he's a part-time minister as well. He had made a homemade Trump button, and one of the things about the Trump campaign that people had made fun of was the kind of ad hoc nature of it. It wasn't professional. And I think it really, for people like Billy, it really represented to him kind of, it represented that the campaign was real, it was true, it represented him because it didn't have all the trappings of a big professional campaign. The pictures of the bar owner who had been a firefighter all his life, was retired, and he was very, very torn on whether to vote for Trump or not. His frustration with Hillary Clinton and frustration with what she represented, the sense of entitlement, I think that ultimately pushed him to voting for Trump, even though he was aware of the many problems that Trump had. This wasn't an easy decision for him. He didn't just jump on the bandwagon and say, hey, I love this guy. He was very torn, and ultimately I think he represents what I saw in a lot of voters, that had the Democrats had a better candidate, I think we wouldn't be where we are today. Paul was sitting in a truck, and he has a Confederate flag on his truck. And when you look at Paul, you realize he also has only one leg. He talked about having been put in the slow classes at school and been made fun of all his life as a cripple and a retard. And it stung him, and he felt very frustrated, and again, I use the word humiliated by this. And for him, what the Confederate flag represented was a community that he could join that accepted him. It doesn't help just to yell at him and say he's a racist. You have to ask, you have to look at a more holistic approach and ask, why did he get here? Why did he get to this point where he finds an identity is through the Confederate flag and through voting for Trump. And I think when you look at Trump voters and you look at the anger that's manifest in their vote, ask, how did it get there? What's the context behind that? What's the conditions that created that? Because if you're going to stop the anger, and you're going to stop ultimately Trump in the long run, and you're going to stop politics like this, you have to address the inequality and the context that created that anger.